Welcome to Green Beans, where two boys dressed in green sit on beans and chat about life. I am your host, Jared, and with me is my co-host and brother, Ethan.
What's up?
We're back at it again with hopefully better audio quality this time.
Yes, last episode we were troubleshooting kind of and like testing things out because we got a new setup. And I actually used the wrong audio input and, a bunch of boring stuff. But this time, I think we figured it out. We tested everything. It should be good. So,
Yeah.
yes, it should be fixed.
Yeah, because we got two microphones now, and last episode, it was our first time recording with both microphones, and if you listened to last episode, you will know that it didn't go quite as planned, and the audio was super echoey. We didn't get the inputs all correct, but hopefully we spent some time trying to figure everything out this time for this episode, so hopefully our audio will be much better this episode.
Yes. Yep. So let's start off the episode with, our weekly segment of how our weeks went.
Yeah, so Ethan and I actually just got back earlier today, about less than 2 hours ago. We got back from a trip to Virginia.
And the first thing we're doing is recording a podcast.
Yeah, we had normally we would record our podcast just any random day throughout the week whenever we're available to do it. And then throughout the week, we would work on editing and making the YouTube thumbnail and things like that, getting it ready to publish for Monday. But yeah, today it's Saturday when we're recording this, and we just got back, so we don't have a whole ton of time to prepare this time. So we're recording it now.
Yep. And it's really hot in this room.
Yeah, normally I have like a ceiling fan going on in this room to cool us off, but that you wouldn't want to hear that while we're recording. That would be annoying for all of our listeners. So we turned that off, but now we're both really hot in here.
Oh, well. So as Jared mentioned, we just got back from a trip to Virginia. As we live in Vermont, it's close enough where you can drive, but far enough where it's a pain to drive there.
Yeah, definitely. So we went down there for sort of like a family reunion sort of thing. There weren't too many people there, definitely not our whole family, but we got to see some cousins and aunts and uncles and grandparents that we haven't seen in a while. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we actually, I think we spent more days driving than we did actually there.
Yeah, cause
We did 4 total days of driving.
yep.
Around 6 hours a day on average. A few days were a little longer. For there and back, so that's 4 total days, yeah. And we spent what was that, Monday to Friday there, so that was 4 or 5 days.
Yep. We got there on Monday and left on Friday. So 3 entire days there.
And then 2 half days. So let's call it 4.
Yeah. Yes, because from where we live in Vermont down to where we visited in Virginia, it's like 12 or 13 hours of a drive. And our family didn't want to just drive there all in one go because that's a long day.
Yeah.
So on our way there, we a nice halfway point between where we live and where we were going is New Jersey. So on our way down there, we drove a day and then stopped at a hotel in New Jersey, stayed there, and then the next day woke up in the morning, drove the rest of the way, arrived in Virginia, stayed there for our 4 days, whatever. Then we left yesterday. We left yesterday morning and then showed up yesterday evening in a different hotel in New Jersey, and then this morning we went from that New Jersey hotel back home.
Yeah. It actually, getting the hotel in New Jersey, our dad did all that, but he coincidentally booked a hotel really, really close to one of my friends' houses from college. So obviously he lives in New Jersey and he goes to Vermont for college. And so he just coincidentally booked a hotel right next to him, so I met up with him and got to talk with him, see how his summer was going, and talk about like this next school year because it's gonna be different with different guidelines, and most people being vaccinated. They're
Yeah.
requiring vaccines on my campus, so it's gonna be pretty different. A lot of in person stuff.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to next school year. Hopefully, it'll be a lot better than this past one.
Oh yeah.
But with our Virginia trip, we went to a place called Williamsburg. That's like where we stayed,
Yep.
and we actually went to Williamsburg with the same family members 5 years ago in 2016, um, for same sort of family reunion thing. And I must have been 11 at the time, and you
I was
were
like
14.
13, 14, depending on when we went, because my birthday's in the summer, so I could have
Yeah,
been 13 or
so
14.
we went last time we went there. I remember very specifically that trip pretty well because Pokemon Go came out
That's right.
like at the beginning of the summer in 2016, and Pokemon Go isn't quite as popular like nowadays. I mean, I still have friends that play it, and I know lots of people that still play it.
Yeah.
And I still play it every once in a while, but it's definitely not as popular as it was. And I remember when Pokemon Go came out in 2016, like it was really big for that summer, and like everybody played it, even people who had never been interested in Pokemon before. And so I remember like it came out, and then like a couple weeks later, maybe not even that long, is when we went to our Virginia trip, and all of our cousins and us just like everywhere we went, we're just playing Pokemon Go on the trip nonstop.
It was also like we were in DC. I feel like it came out closer to when we were it came out right before we left.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
we went to DC first because that's on the way,
yeah.
and it was insane. Like you'd walk around uh whatever the big lake thing in DC,
The reflection pool, I think that's what it's called.
that like every single person on their phone playing Pokemon Go. It was
Yeah,
insane.
but and I so when we went back this time, I remembered having so much fun playing Pokemon Go that first time that we were there. So I was playing Pokemon Go a lot while we were on our trip this past week, which was pretty good because Pokemon Go, for anybody who isn't familiar, there are these different like locations, like real world locations that you can go to in the game. And so, like, if you go to a real world location, they're called Pokestops, then in the game, you can get special rewards, and that's how you get more Pokeballs and, like, potions and items and stuff. And where we live in Vermont, there's not that many Pokestops around here.
Well, that's because Vermont's just rural. There's
Yeah.
not a lot here.
So, like, playing Pokemon Go around home is kind of sucky because there's not many places I can go to get new items and stuff, which is why it was super cool to be able to go somewhere that's more populated with like bigger like cities and stuff. So we were able to get tons of Pokestops everywhere, and that was the same deal when this past week when we went. Like the places we visited, like we went to Colonial Williamsburg while we were there, and there were a bunch of Pokestops all over.
Oh yeah, Colonial Williamsburg was. I didn't really remember it last time, but this time it was just insanely hot. Like
Your microphone fallen?
a little bit. Hopefully that isn't too bad. But yeah, it was insanely hot, and I was like, oh my goodness, like I want to be inside.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like the first time we were there, it was really hot. Although I don't remember much because I was 11. But definitely this time as well, it was so hot. At Colonial Williamsburg, which it's. How would you explain what Colonial Williamsburg is?
I mean, it's a colonial, as in like it's old. It was one of the first few towns created when or created. Yeah, I guess created is the right word. Um, Established back when the pilgrims and like Europeans were moving over to the Americas. They like Jamestown, Williamsburg, like those types of places are the settlements they established back in that time. So Colonial Williamsburg is now a type of museum, kind of historical
Yeah.
outdoor museum that you can go and explore the town, experience the history, stuff like that.
Yeah, and they have different like buildings and exhibits and stuff where you can see like we visited the like carvers, I don't know what it's called, the
Engravers.
engravers shop, and there were people in there and that were like dressed in colonial clothing, and they were like showing us how the engravings and like carving stuff would have worked back in the day when that town was like first made and during the colonial times. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I felt bad for the people who had to like dress up in these big
Oh
outfits
yeah.
with like all different layers in like the 90-degree heat. Like,
Yeah,
ugh.
everybody working there, like some more than others, was wearing like big like uniforms that were meant to look like they came from the colonial times. And yeah, most of it was like long sleeves, jackets, pants, like a bunch of heavy stuff. So like yeah, there were definitely people walking by in like big outfits, and I was walking around in like a t-shirt and shorts, like sweating, and can't imagine how hot they were.
Oh yeah, it must have been miserable.
Yeah. Although I feel like people who live like more southern and like warmer parts of the world than Vermont are probably a lot more used to being that hot.
Yeah, so definitely people are more acclimated to intense heat than we are. Um, but I mean, still, like, regardless, it's still gotta suck.
Yeah.
And so we did Colonial Williamsburg in Virginia, and then we had a few days where we just could do whatever we wanted. Um, so we went to a park with. We have this very little cousin. He's almost 2,
Yeah.
very adorable. So we a lot of the stuff we did actually was just to like go places with him that he would like to do.
Yeah, and we went to like you said like a big playground, and it had like lots of very cool things like a boat and stuff that the kids could go and play in. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. But other than that, like we didn't have many other things planned. We did a lot of chillaxing, a lot of talking, a lot of eating.
Yeah.
We we ate a lot of food.
Yeah, our grandmother is the one who did like most of the cooking when we were there when we weren't like out at restaurants, and she made a lot of food.
Yeah. Sometimes a little too much because there were a lot of leftovers, but that's okay.
Yeah, nobody was complaining. Like one night there were like ribs and stuff, and I don't eat that because I'm vegetarian. But like we were able to bring home a bunch of leftover ribs, and like our dad, I think he ate a bunch of those. So definitely not a bad thing with the extra food.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't really know what else there's to say about Virginia. Like it wasn't like a very interesting trip, honestly, besides like maybe visiting Colonial Williamsburg because it was just like a family trip. We just went to go see
Yeah, I
family.
mean, I definitely had a good time, like just hanging out with family and talking to people, and especially because we haven't seen some people in a long time because Corona.
Yeah, Miss Rona has been
Not very nice.
not very nice to us.
Yeah.
Um, I do have to say my least favorite part was the car ride. It was so long, so much traffic all the time.
Yeah, we did hit a lot of traffic. Like, I think our first day of driving when we left our house and were going to the hotel in New Jersey, I think our like GPS in the car said it would take like 6 to 6.5 hours to get there, and it ended up taking like at least 8 hours because we hit like a bunch of traffic.
Yeah, I think in some states like that's just a normal thing. Around in Vermont, like Chittenden County is like the most populated county in Vermont, and even there, like the traffic is not that bad. Like you'll be stuck for a few minutes, sometimes a little more than a few minutes, but you know, it's nothing like it was with like thousands of cars on like four-way highways just at a stop. Like
Yeah.
it's nothing like that.
Yeah, just like driving through so many different states on the way there, it was definitely pretty, I don't know, I guess odd seeing like how other states like driving in other states is, because a lot of other states it's a very different experience driving than it is in Vermont. Because like in Vermont, for example, like we don't have billboards in Vermont.
Yeah, billboards are illegal here.
Yeah, they're just like aren't any billboards throughout the entire state of Vermont. But then like going down, driving through a bunch of different states to get to Virginia, like there's billboards all over the place, and it's just weird seeing billboards because that's not something I'm used to.
Same with toll booths.
Yeah.
There are no toll booths in Vermont. Thank you, Vermont, because toll booths suck.
Yeah, we had to like stop a bunch and pay, and it was annoying, but not something we have to deal with here in Vermont, luckily.
So, anyone who's listening or watching that's not from Vermont, sorry, but we just gotta flex on you.
We're just kind of superior in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, I like Vermont.
I do too.
Although, so you kind of alluded to not necessarily culture shock, but like
Yeah.
kind of like even different states in the U.S. are a bit different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like if I know you've never been west before, but I've been out west, and that's a very different from around here. Like around here, it's uh, all forest, and out west, it's all desert. Like that's two completely different environments, and so you know, just driving in the desert is completely different, and it's really cool actually. Like you get to see all types of geology that you don't get to see around here, because most of it around here is under plants.
Yeah.
But also like just like you get to see buttes. You know what
What is
butte
that?
is? So a butte is a big piece of like almost like a plateau, but it's just like a big piece of rock that's like straight up. Uh,
Okay.
I can't really explain it that well.
I'll look up a picture later.
Yeah,
I'll put one on screen for the
we'll
YouTube
put one
version.
on screen. But for the listeners, yeah, a butte is just like think of like a square
Okay.
of rock that's humongous, and
Okay.
it goes straight up,
All right.
and then there's like a plateau on top.
Okay.
Do you remember what's it, Free Solo, or the documentary with the guy who climbed up that thing?
El Capitan, is that what it's called? I know what you're talking about. I think
That
it's
I'm pretty sure that
Alex Honnold, I believe, is the rock climber's name. But yeah.
yeah, I'm fairly certain that was a butte
Huh.
what he climbed.
Okay.
They're just these giant rocks.
Well, yeah, you don't really see those in Vermont.
Yeah, because just the way the geology and like erosion and weathering works around here is completely different because it's like different climate, different vegetation, which all have an impact on that.
Mm-hmm.
But out there, like you see all sorts of different kinds of landmarks, and you also get to see like all the rock is very layered. Like each layer is very defined. You can tell. Well, around here it's like a lot of shale, which is not as layered. It's just kind of all clumped together.
Huh. Geology, bro.
Yeah, I kind of have to take geology if I want to do paleontology, study of fossils. So I try to pick up a thing or two, but my main thing is for just the evolution and stuff with that.
Yeah. So you said earlier about how like the least favorite part of our trip for you was the car rides.
Yeah,
But
I get car sick too. It sucked.
yeah, I've never gotten car sick. I have gotten sick at like amusement parks and like fairs on like the super spinny rides. I've definitely gotten sick and gotten headaches from those, but I've never gotten car sick, I don't think.
It was worse when I was younger. I would like throw up in the car and get everything all gross.
Yeah.
So I started taking medicine. I still do it because just in case, don't want to puke everywhere.
Yeah. So for me personally, I don't really have that much of a problem with long car rides. Like this entire time, like I doubt you even heard me like complain about being in the car once for our whole trip.
No, I mean you spent most of the time just watching shows you downloaded.
Yeah, and so I don't know what it is, but like I just don't mind car trips. Like I wouldn't say I enjoy them, but like they are what they are. They're fine. Um, I feel like the reason is because when we went to the 2017 National Boy Scout Jamboree, we took a bus, and you went with me, so you would know. And
Yeah.
we took a bus ride there, and a bus ride back, and on
And
the
by the way, it was in West Virginia.
yes,
So it's also like
even further than where we
even
went
further than
like
Virginia.
this past week, and yeah, I just remember on our way back from West Virginia to Vermont, we just in a bus. We did that entire trip all at once, only stopping for food. And
Yep.
it took us 20 hours. It was a 20-hour bus ride, and it was so miserable, and I hated it.
It sucked. Yeah, oh my goodness. That I even tried to sleep on that bus ride. I think I got about like 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, I couldn't sleep. Like I tried to sleep as well on that bus ride, and I couldn't at all. So, yeah, I think every car ride I've ever had after that one bus ride, it's just not. It just seems fine because compared to that one I experienced, it's not bad at all. So, yeah, because like when you're on a bus for like 20 hours, like there's only so much you can do. Like you can't like watch like shows or videos that you downloaded the entire time because once you've been watching those for a certain amount of hours, it gets boring and you get tired of it.
That happens with like every single show I try to watch, regardless.
Yeah, but yeah, there's not much you can do on a bus ride that long, and I just remember like that was such a boring bus ride and it sucked. And one of the group that we went down with was like a big group, so we were split into two buses, and not our bus but the other bus that we were with, like one of their tires popped or something, and so we had to like just wait. I think we were at a McDonald's or something for like 2 hours just sitting and waiting for the bus to be fixed, which added even more time, which made it even more sucky.
Yeah, I mean, at least we got a break, but yeah, that definitely extended the trip to be way longer than it should have.
Yeah, but anyway, after experiencing that awful super long bus ride, now car trips not that bad for me. Like even sitting in the car for like 8 hours on our way to Virginia, like I don't know, could be 20, so not as bad.
Yeah, there's actually this kind of phenomenon where you like set up an experience that was really really bad for yourself,
Mhm.
and that's kind of like your anchor, your focal point, and you're like, this is kind of like the worst that I've experienced, and everything else is just better. Like with let's see, I'm gonna take skiing for example because I did Nordic skiing
Yeah.
and I did not enjoy it. It was I don't like skiing. It was not fun. Um, and we always every year we would do this race called Cochrane's, and it's completely uphill. No downhills, just up. It's the Cochrane's Hill Climb. It was the worst race out of the year. Everyone hated it. I don't know why we did it. It sucked. But that was kind of like my point of like, wow, okay. After I was done the race, I was like, oh my goodness, that was awful. But I did it. I completed it.
Mhm.
And so now that was kind of my point. Like in other races, if I was feeling kind of bad, I was like, hey, I've done worse. So
Yeah.
I can keep on going right now.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the same thing with your car ride. You know, like you've done worse. So right now isn't really that bad.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I'd say, like, I actually remember because I did cross country skiing as well when I was in middle school, and I only did it for 1 year. Just my seventh grade year, I was on the cross country skiing team, and I remember my coach wouldn't even let me do the Cochrane's race because I was so bad at it that like she wouldn't let me. She was like, "Nope, I know you can't do it. I'm not even gonna like no, you can't come to this one."
Sorry, you suck. Just don't bother coming.
Yeah, so I remember that race because I wasn't allowed to go because of how sucky it was.
You know, you're lucky then, because that race is awful.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of the races were awful for me too, though, because I was just super bad. Like, by the end of the season, okay, this was my first time ever on skis, period, because, like, most people that's tried, like, Nordic skiing have at least done downhill skiing before, but I had never done that, so, because I, like, snowboard. So, my time on the cross-country skiing team was my first time ever on skis, and by the end of the season, I couldn't slow down, I couldn't stop, I couldn't turn, like all things that are very necessary for just skiing. I still didn't know how to do them, and
Basic locomotion.
and I was so bad at it. So yeah, that was that was an experience being on the ski team.
I do have to say though, the middle school didn't really teach you how to ski. They just kind of said go do a workout, even though you didn't ski. Is that correct?
I mean, not exactly, Mike, because I had like my main coach, and then there was like an assistant coach who was like a college student, and she came and she because she competed in Nordic skiing in college, and so she came and like to help coach our Nordic ski team. But like they tried to teach me. I was just so bad that like they would like explain to me how to do something, and I just like couldn't get it. And it was pretty much like that throughout the whole season. So I wasn't bad because nobody taught me. I was bad because I sucked. Like I tried to do what they showed me to. It just never really worked out for me.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I did cross country skiing was my sophomore year of high school, because me and one of my friends made a deal that if he tried snowboarding, I would try skiing, and he ended up quitting skiing as well and to do snowboarding. So I think
one of these is clearly superior.
One of them is clearly better than the other. Just saying. No, I have no beef with skiers. They're skiing and snowboarding can both be fun. It's just I like snowboarding better.
Same with me.
But yeah, I started my sophomore year, and this is like the second day of practice, and I was told to go down this like super big hill, and I'm like, I literally don't know how to ski, dude. Like I'm not going down this hill. And then my coach was like, well, how are you gonna learn if you don't do it? And then he's like, go down. I was like, okay. So I'm going down this massive hill. Don't know how to slow down yet. Don't know how to stop, just like you.
Relatable.
And then I'm like, I'm gonna die, and I fall over and I land like on my thumb, and oh my gosh, that hurt so much. I ended up breaking my thumb.
Because I remember this.
Yeah, because when you're holding your pole, like if you fall, like your thumb's just kind of there, and it boop right into the ground. And so, yeah, I was like, why do you have me go down that hill? I broke my thumb, dude.
Yeah, I definitely relate to that a lot, because throughout that year that I was doing skiing and I couldn't ski, I still like competed in races and stuff, and I came in dead last. Not like last on my team, like dead last out of every single person at the race. I was very last place at every single meet that I went to, except for the state finals. I did not come in last. I came in second to last, and my friend who was also on the team, he came in last because his ski broke halfway through the race.
Wow, that's...
But anyway, so I when I was competing in these races, like races would oftentimes have like big hills and things and turns and various, not like obstacles, but like it was more than just like a flat course for the races. But me not knowing how to slow down, turn, stop, any of that, whenever I would come across like a hill or something, obviously I have to go down the hill. I don't really have another option. But then, like, what am I supposed to do? So I would start going down the hill, and then once I was like towards the bottom of the hill, I would just have to intentionally fall over. So, because like I remember one specific time where there was like a pretty steep hill going down, and then at the bottom of the hill there was a sharp right turn, and I like was at the top, and I was like, crap. Like I was at the I looked, I was like, okay. So I went down, and like once I'm like starting to get towards the bottom of the hill, like I didn't really have a choice, because I know if I just keep going, I'm not gonna be able to make that right turn. So I'm just gonna fly off of the course and probably into some trees or something.
Ooh,
And
yeah.
I can't like slow down or stop or anything, so I can like adjust myself easier, because I didn't know how to do that. So I had to just intentionally fall over. And I did that like all the time. And it was, I mean, it was pretty funny, because there were some times where my coaches would tell me, they were like, oh, we saw you at this one part during the race and you were doing so well, but then you fell. It looked like you did it on purpose. And I was like, oh, weird how it looked like that.
Maybe it was on purpose.
But yeah, so I relate to you on that, because I intentionally fell quite often while doing skiing.
Yeah. I did end up learning how to actually do things, unlike you.
Yeah.
However, I was never any good. I was able to slow down by, doing the pizza where you like do cross the front of your skis,
Yeah.
which is not the best way to do it, but that was the way I did it. I was also able to turn, like cross country skis don't turn easily in general, but I was able to figure out like, oh, if you lean, you turn a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, more than I was able to figure out.
But I still sucked a lot, and I just didn't enjoy, like I would find that I legitimately got angry during practice because it was just I was cold, I was tired, I when I'd fall I'd be like, why get up? I'm not having fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I didn't even mention, but like the uniforms for Nordic skiing are it's pretty much just like a spandex one piece suit. Or actually,
Yeah.
I don't know if they're one piece.
They're two-piece.
It's just like a spandex suit. So like you're in the snow, it's like freezing cold, and you're literally just wearing like super thin, like skin tight spandex.
Yeah, I know. It's awful. I mean, and some people love it, which
Yeah.
props to them. They're real troopers.
Yeah, I mean, big respect to anybody who's like good at Nordic skiing, because we have both done it and we both were bad. So like we know how difficult it is. So like if you're a good Nordic skier, like props to you.
Yeah. Oh boy. But I ended up quitting, and I was happy with that. Instead, I went to the gym, which
Yeah.
is a lot better. I do have to say though, skiing really gave me like nice abs, because you really use your abs a lot. If you're like doing a double pull where you're just like you're literally doing crunches while you're standing up, if
Yeah.
you're doing that just to push yourself. So like my abs are nice. They are not like that anymore because I have not skied in a few years.
Guess we could start skiing again.
I don't know. I don't think it's worth the effort.
I agree. But anyway, I was gonna make this point, and then we got very sidetracked by skiing. But
That's okay.
what I was originally gonna say was, because you had said how there's this like mentality of you have one like some really bad experience, and then in the future everything seems a lot better because, well, it's not as bad as that one thing.
Yeah.
And what I think might happen for me is, because I mentioned maybe like 2 episodes ago, don't remember, that my girlfriend and we watched like the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy all in one day. So that was like 12 hours pretty much of movies. And now, I mean, I guess I'll have to see. I could be wrong, but I feel like I'm going to have that same effect where like now movies just don't feel long anymore because I watched 12 hours of movies in one day. So I'll sit and watch like a 3-hour movie, which is like pretty long for a movie.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, oh, well, that was pretty quick.
Huh.
Because
it's already over.
Yeah. So maybe that'll turn into that, but guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Time will tell.
Every time I think of a 3-hour movie, it's usually Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, that's
I
3
do you
hours.
know if Avatar, the blue people Avatar on the alien planet, not the poo poo Last Airbender Avatar, that one was bad.
You mean the movie, that live action Avatar: The Last Airbender movie is bad, is what you're
That
saying.
is bad.
I
Yeah,
just want to clarify.
the show is
Yeah,
good. The show is
the Last Airbender
fantastic.
show, amazing show, good
The
stuff.
live action movie was terrible.
Yes.
Everyone hates it.
Yeah, I believe it has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, that takes some skill to get. But the blue people Avatar, do you remember if that's 3 hours or not? It's close. I don't know
I
if
don't
it
remember,
is.
to be honest. Don't remember really anything about that movie other than the fact that they were blue.
Well, we got to watch it again because there's gonna be some new ones coming out 2022
Yeah,
and onward.
yeah.
But I remember, so I was gonna talk about Endgame because I went to go see Endgame in theaters, but when I went to go see it, I was sick.
Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, and so I was going with my friends, which is the only reason why I wanted to go to the theaters because my friends were going, and so I went and I was like sitting there and like 10 minutes into the movie, I'm like, oh gosh, I got poop. I gotta poop really bad, but I don't want to miss the movie. And so I held in my sick person poop for 3 hours
Dang.
of Endgame, and the entire time I'm like, I'm gonna poop myself. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! I'm gonna. Oh, it was so miserable, but I managed to stay through the entire movie, and I immediately like movie was done. I saw the wait. Did Endgame have after credits?
It had a post-credit sound.
Whatever. I booked it out of the theater and just was not a good time.
Yeah, I remember when Endgame came out. It was really like it was an unusual experience for me because like I mean, we talk about I guess how different things are in Vermont compared to other places of the country just because Vermont is the second least populated state with Wyoming being the least populated state. I believe Vermont's population is about like 600,000 people in the entire state of Vermont.
Yeah.
And we live in Chittenden County, which is like the most populated part of Vermont, and still like compared to
Not
other parts of the world, not very
pretty
populated.
small.
But anyway, so like going to the movies, it's usually not that crowded at the movie theater. But when Endgame was coming out, I had to like buy my tickets like I don't. It was at least a week or two before the movie came out. Like I had to pre-order them online, which I had never done before. Usually, I just show up to the movie theater and buy my tickets.
Yeah.
But for Endgame, I had to buy my tickets beforehand, and then my friend and I went to see it with one of our friends, and I remember we were thinking like, okay, we want to get some good seats for the movie. Let's show up like an hour early, which is like way earlier than you would normally show up for a movie.
Yeah.
Because you would normally show up what, like 20 minutes maybe before the movie starts.
20 to 30 is how I usually roll.
Yeah, but we wanted to make sure we got good seats, so we're like, okay, it might be kind of crowded, so let's show up an hour before the movie starts, and we did. So like we show up an hour before the movie starts, we walk into the theater. It is super packed. Like we had a hard time finding seats then an hour before the movie started.
Jeez.
And yeah, and by the time the movie started, the entire theater 100% every single seat filled. It was completely packed and every single person there pre-ordered tickets. And like I remember just going to that movie was insane because I had never been to like a sold out movie before. And it was also it was cool but also annoying being in that crowded of a movie, especially because everybody there was pretty much like a Marvel super fan.
Yeah.
And whenever anything remotely cool or exciting happened in the movie, the entire crowd would like clap and cheer, which it was
Yeah.
cool and it was like a really cool environment and something that I hadn't experienced before. But then also like I couldn't hear what people were
Yeah.
saying. Like I couldn't hear the movie when people would do that.
Yeah, I don't really like it when people like clap and cheer. Like laughing, understandable,
Yeah.
you know, if something's funny, but like I'm not a big fan of that. But
Yeah.
I haven't been to a movie theater in over a year, and neither of you, right?
Yeah, I've not been to a movie theater since the start of the pandemic.
And honestly, I'm not really missing it that much.
Yeah.
I do enjoy watching my movies at home.
All right. So, do you want to maybe give us a little dino facts now?
Oh, yes, yes. I think it is time for Ethan's fabulous, fantastic, ferocious, fable, fingly fossil facts.
Fable Fingly fossil facts?
Yeah, I don't think fingly is a word, but
Let's go with it.
yeah, I got some alliteration. So
All right.
today's fact I think is a quickie. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So the dinosaur Oviraptor.
Mm-hmm.
I think people are familiar with it. I hope. If not, there will be on YouTube. There will be an image on screen. Oviraptor means egg thief
Mm-hmm.
because when Oviraptor was discovered, it was discovered with fossilized eggs. So paleontologists were like, "Oh, they must be stealing them and eating them." It wasn't later on. It was discovered that the eggs were actually its own eggs, and it was taking care of the eggs,
Mm-hmm.
like a nest. They were taking care of
Yeah.
a nest of eggs. So the name is not accurate anymore because they're not egg thieves. They're actually good parents. So yeah, that's basically my fossil fact. Um, Oviraptors are good parents.
Yeah, man, paleontologists really did Oviraptors dirty, like naming them egg thief when they're actually just taking care of their eggs.
Yeah, come on, paleontologists.
Do better.
Do better. Come on.
But yeah, interesting fact, and I think that pretty much brings us to the end of this episode.
Awesome. I enjoyed today's discussion, and with better audio,
I hope so. I mean,
it'll sound
we don't
fantastic.
know right now when recording this if everything worked properly. We set it up, so hopefully it should. But
If it didn't, I'm contacting the technical guy in charge of this, which by the way is me, and I'm filing a complaint.
yeah, so this was a pretty good episode. We talked a bit about our trip to Virginia. We discussed car rides. We talked about cross-country skiing and how bad we were at that.
And a little bit about movies as well.
Yeah. So, is there anything you'd like to add before we wrap up today?
Yeah, I got my plug to my YouTube channel as usual. It's that Etan guy. Etan is Etan. I post videos about dinosaurs and other silly things, so check that out. But yeah, that's all I want to say.
All right. So, this brings us to the end of episode 7 of Green Beans. Can you believe that? 7 weeks of making episodes so far.
That's crazy, man.
But
I'm really enjoying it.
I am as well. So we hope that everybody watching or listening is enjoying it as well. Of course, you can give us any feedback or anything, YouTube comments, or if you know us, just let us know what you're thinking about how the podcast is going. But that brings us to the end of today's episode. So thank you for watching or listening, and we hope to see you again in next week's episode.
Adios.